Hi, everybody. I want to welcome you to another Cape Conversations. We've got a great show today. It's very poignant and it's sad, but you know what? It's moving and it gives you inspiration. So I'm glad you joined me today. Come along. Let's have a Cape Conversation. So I am excited to be sitting here today with an author who has told a very, very, very personal story. And with her, she's brought a very fancy-dancy young man who lives in Brewster. And I am welcoming today Susan Hayes and Schuyler O'Brien. Hi.
Hi, nice to see you.
Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
So, Susan, oh my gosh, we have so much to talk about.
Yes.
Your book. Let's talk about the book first.
Okay.
Let's talk about Jeff first. Let's talk about Jeff first.
There's a lot to talk about, I would imagine.
Yes,
I wrote this story about our 2-year struggle with Ewing sarcoma. And I wrote it for several reasons. One being that I thought it was an extraordinary story that the sandwich community and people, our family and friends, really picked us up and supported us the 2 years.
And Jeff passed away how long ago now?
Yeah, it's been 9 years.
9 years.
Yes, and it took me quite a few years just to get the story out and sort of heal through the process.
Sure, of course.
And talk about what we went through and really thank you to the people who were there for us and made it more of an extraordinary story.
And some of those people were the Bruins, were they not?
Yes, they were. They were fabulous. They just fell in love with Jeff and did everything for him.
Right.
And some of the players, Patrice Bergeron and Ray Bork and Terry O'Reilly.
I mean, they came to your house. And
yes,
stuff, right?
They did.
Wow.
And it wasn't just a one-time visit. And they stayed with us through the struggle through the last 6 months and became very close. And we're just so amazed at what they did and grateful. And they still do support the Jeff Hayes Memorial Hockey Tournament, which was just this past week.
Wow, how many people played?
We have three teams that travel: North Reading and Lowell Catholic and Oliver Ames and Easton, and they say that this is a hidden gem for them to come down and to play in this tournament, knowing the reason why we have it.
Yeah, and so can you kind of explain to me what Ewing sarcoma is? Because I have no clue, to be honest with you.
It's a rare bone cancer. And it strikes young, I'd say between 9 years old up to age 20. And it's aggressive cancer, and it's hard to people have I never heard of it before, and there's and to explain what it is, it's just a rare bone cancer it starts in one part of your body in a bone, and then it grows fast.
And your neighbors around you, they came and brought you food and helped you out, and
they were extraordinary. The Sunday dinners lasted for the 2 years and beyond.
Yeah. And
they just stopped by with gifts and everything that Jeff needed. The hockey families and baseball families, they came and brought a laptop for Jeff, and they.
So Sandwich is a good community.
The Sandwich is a great community.
I know sometimes we hear bad things about Sandwich.
I couldn't be more proud of this community for what they did for us.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
Well, next to you have sitting a young man who's started a whole new project, and that would be you, Schuyler. We're talking about you.
Yes, I do know.
So now tell me what you're doing, Schuyler. I know you have the exact same form of cancer. Is that correct?
Yeah, I have Ewing sarcoma as well.
You do? And you've started something called the...
So I didn't start it.
You didn't start it, okay.
It's called Project Genesis, and basically it's trying to understand why children get Ewing sarcoma. And it's a collection of, it's basically a database of samples from not only throughout the country, but it's an international study of basically trying to get as many Ewing sarcoma samples as possible. And by samples, I mean we're looking at blood samples from patients. So we're trying to understand, is there a predisposition to getting Ewing sarcoma, and that's sort of a hard thing to wrap your head around for a lot of people.
Well, sure. I mean,
thinking
there
about
are,
a genetic predisposition.
So is there a sense, I mean, I know they're doing so much now with cancer research, unbelievable, with being able to treat cancer specifically in specific areas and specific types of cancer. Are they doing that now with this type of cancer? So that they're kind of formulating it for you as opposed to the general population, whatever the treatments are?
So talking about sort of, I guess, personalized medicine.
Yeah, I guess that would be it.
So the treatment for Ewing sarcoma really hasn't evolved in the last 20 to 30 years in terms of the drugs that you give. The surgery and radiation has sort of changed, but the drugs that you get are effectively the same drugs you would have gotten 20 or 30 years ago.
I see.
There are different, on your primary diagnosis, in relapses, there's different drugs that are used.
I see.
But there's nothing that's considered overly effective.
So are you working on this project as well? Or are you just a part of the study?
So we're trying to answer, right, why do kids get Ewing sarcoma?
Right.
And then there's sort of the treatment aspect.
Gotcha.
So there are sort of two different things. So we're not actually, and it might seem sort of silly, why do you want to know, why do people get the type of cancer? But the idea is you can take that information, and then that sort of is going to lead to advances in treatment down the road. So it's sort of an indirect way of still trying to make the treatment better.
Right.
So we're still, I guess, trying to do that.
Right.
But we aren't necessarily trying to develop different drugs.
No, I
or
understand
things like
that part. I understand that part. So this is just the basic research to be able to hand it over to somebody who would develop drugs, I presume.
Right. So we're just looking, because we don't know that much about cancer, and especially childhood cancer. There's really, very little to go on. So I guess the field of cancer research is still very much just trying to explore sort of all the possibilities.
And you live here on the Cape, right?
I live in Brewster.
You live in Brewster. Excellent. And did you go to school? Did you go to college?
I went to the University at Albany.
Oh, wonderful. Excellent. Yeah, and graduated from there. Wonderful.
Schuyler was diagnosed year before Jeff. And he struggled with the disease and graduated at the same time.
Amazing. You're an amazing guy.
He's Superman. He is.
Yeah.
So I'm grateful that he's doing this research and that we met, because I have been there hasn't been a day when we try to email and talk to each other that I don't think of him and want to know how he's doing, and he's doing so well and so strong, and he's great.
Yeah. So and you've had a relapse, or?
So this is my fourth time having
my
Ewing's.
goodness.
So.
And you're in treatment now? Wonderful.
So this is my fourth year of treatment. But with me, for whatever reason, we're able to sort of control it so it doesn't get too far out of control. So we're able to sort of make it go away, but it just keeps coming back is sort of the problem. But the hope is we can make it go away and not come back.
Well, and I've heard about this, and I understand neither one of you are scientists or doctors. But I have heard that now, again, that because of specific things, that they're even hoping that cancer will be something that you live with. You don't want to have it, but you can live with it, which is what you're kind of in the process of doing now, right?
Yeah, there definitely are people that live, not so much with Ewing's, it's still pretty rare to survive relapses.
Right.
But there are definitely cancers where we can't necessarily make it go away, but we can keep it under control for 10, 20, 30 years, or maybe even your entire life.
And what did you study in college?
Molecular biology.
Of course you did. Well, you are a scientist then. Do you work now or not working right now?
So I'm a PhD student at the University of Utah.
Oh, you are? Oh,
so
now.
That's how,
light dawns over Marblehead, people.
So we didn't really talk about this before having the interview, but Project Genesis is at the University of Utah. That's one of the reasons I decided to go there and study.
Yeah. Are you doing it by telecommuting, or do you live out there in Utah normally?
So last year I was out there, and then I relapsed this past spring. So now I've sort of been working away from the university, but I'm hoping to go back in the next few months.
Oh, excellent, excellent. How long do you have to? My daughter got her PhD. How long do you have to go?
There's no real set limit, but about 5.5 years.
Yeah,
so.
Yeah. It's a haul. I take my hat off to you because, man, I don't think I could do it. So that's wonderful. Excellent. Good for you. That's excellent. Excellent. And you're studying something that is so important, I think, as well. So you wrote a book all about this. So tell me about the book. And tell me what you're doing with the book. What's going on with the book?
Well,
and it's called The 12th Night.
12th Night, A Mother's Story.
Yeah.
It's available on Amazon.
Yeah.
It was released on Amazon in late December. It's being sold at the Harvard Bookstore in Cambridge, at the Brookline Booksmith in Coolidge Corner, here locally at Tickham's.
Oh, wonderful.
8 Cousins in Falmouth. And it's doing well. I recently gave it to the 3 coaches at the hockey tournament so they can understand more about the tournament. And I have been promoting it locally. So I'm just putting the story out there for people who want to know what happened when we were going through that battle with cancer.
Now, part of the proceeds
they go to cancer research. Childhood and adolescent cancer research.
Through what foundation?
And
Cancer?
Boston Bruins Foundation.
Oh, okay.
National Cancer Society. Yes.
Oh, okay. All right. Excellent. Wonderful.
Yes.
So he was a special kid. All kids are special.
All kids are special.
All kids are special.
Very special.
However, he sounds like he was a special kid.
He was. And that's one of the reasons why I wanted to tell the story, because I thought he was. I thought he was extraordinary in the way that he battled the disease, and especially his kindness and his caring about everyone else around him, and being humble and bright and just taking on the disease without without complaining or just saying, I'm going to do what I need to do and see what happens, and I'll be okay. And so I wanted to write the story to, number one, heal through the process and keep the memory of him alive. And I think that having done that, it's become a tribute to Jeff, because I think he was pretty special.
And he passed. How old was he when he passed away?
18.
He was 18. And
yes.
He
got diagnosed when he was 16, and we went through the 2 years of treatment. And we actually thought he was in remission after the first year, and then the disease came back, and it's just difficult to, little brush fires keep coming up, and we kind of put them out. And, but I feel proud that I've been able to accomplish this and tell the story.
Well, and you brought us some video of everything through. Kind of during the time period that he was ill, and a little bit about his life. Is that correct?
Well, there's some video of him in his youth. And there's a lot of hockey. There's
a lot of hockey
in the story. And that was his passion. So we lived that through the story, and then there's the PMC, the PMS Challenge. That I wrote in after we lost Jeff, and I wrote on the Boston Bruins team.
Oh my gosh! And that's part of this too, right? We're seeing it now.
Yes. So
wonderful.
So that was extraordinary. Just I was inspired by the writers, and I had my story that inspired me to write, and it was just a great thing to do. I really, it's difficult, but so rewarding.
Oh yeah.
And then there's with the flashbacks of Jeff's youth. There's also flashbacks of my youth and growing up in a large Boston family outside, a suburb of Boston in Newton, where I have 9 brothers and sisters.
Oh my goodness!
And so
9? You don't have that many brothers and sisters now.
Me
either. I had plenty, but that 9's a lot.
Yeah. So the story there's clinical settings that amid the stories of Jeff's youth, and then there's a story, a couple of chapters of what it was like growing up in that large family. It's kind of breaks the clinical sadness and get you through the story and let the reader understand who I am and what strength where that strength comes from to survive.
So where are you in the family, out of curiosity?
5. There's 5 girls and 5 boys.
Oh my goodness, there you go.
Yeah.
So you were number 5, so it didn't all go all girls and then all boys. It was mixed up.
Girl, boy, girl, boy. Yes.
Okay.
They did well. Yeah.
Excuse me.
So I think that I'm proud of that part of the story because I think a lot of people can relate to that era.
Sure.
Growing up at that time.
Sure.
It's funny too.
Yeah.
So,
oh, that's great.
So
we've seen a little bit of the video of his life and whatever. Where do you want this to go? What do you want to accomplish out of this? Are you writing another book? Do you think you've become an author now and you're going to, I don't know, go off and write the great American novel, or is this your focus right now?
I do enjoy writing, and I think I discovered that through this process, and I do have a couple of other projects that I'm starting that I feel more, compassionate about and want to write about. So I am going to do that, but this is my baby, and I hope that people will find the courage to read the story, because there's more to it than just the disease.
Sure.
And that's what I'm focusing on now. But long term, I don't know what tomorrow will bring. But I really would like to sit down and have the time to get into another story.
And do you work outside the home now?
Oh yes, full time.
You do?
Yeah. I work in Sandwich.
You work in Sandwich? Oh,
15
you live
years. Yes.
You live in Sandwich. You work in Sandwich.
Yes.
How long has your family lived here?
24 years.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah.
Great, wonderful. Yeah. And you called it 12th Night because, and it's KNIGHT. After the Blue Knights, I presume,
That's
or something.
Correct. Yes, he was a Sandwich Blue Knight on the hockey team, and he was number 12.
So excellent.
12th Night, yes. So.
Oh, that's wonderful. So, so Jeff, he passed away. How long ago now?
9 years.
9 years ago.
I know it seems like a long time, but
well, for you it isn't.
For me, it isn't. Sure. And I don't think the story gets outdated. I think people. I've gotten extraordinary remarks and comments and saying that they just couldn't put it down.
Right.
That they read it in one sitting and that.
Well, I'm going to ask Schuyler. Have you read it?
I did read it.
You did it, yeah, yeah. And did you like it?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we got a review in, so that's good. That's great.
I think it was definitely a little bit hard just because it was
a
little
course,
bit more
it's close to home.
for me.
Of course, yeah.
Because I was treated at the same hospital that Jeff was. So.
And where are you being treated now?
Now I've moved from the pediatrics to the adult side. So
I see.
I'm actually at Mass General.
Oh, you are.
Hospital now. But
they have a fabulous oncology whole thing there.
No, we're very lucky to live so close to Dana-Farber.
I know. It is amazing. It's totally amazing.
Jimmy Fund, yep.
Yeah, absolutely amazing.
But I went through most of my treatment at Dana-Farber.
Oh, you did? Yeah.
So there were some similarities there.
Yes, there's a lot of flashbacks, so to speak. So.
Well,
he told me he liked the book.
Yeah, no, it was very well written, and
oh, that's great. So now, are you Schuyler? Is there funding for this program that you're doing now? If somebody's watching this and says, "Gee, I want to give to this Genesis, project," is there a way to do that?
So donations are a little bit tricky for things like that, just because. So, Project Genesis is funded by a national grant from
of course.
From the NIH. So it gets a little bit tricky when you start mixing personal donations in, and there actually are some laws around it, and I don't know what they are exactly.
Right.
But I'm sure there's a way if you wanted to.
But if somebody wanted to give,
give,
they could certainly give to the American Cancer Society, and that would be a good thing.
Yep, or the hospital that we work out of is the Huntsman Cancer Institute.
The Huntsman Cancer Institute in what?
In Salt Lake City.
In Salt Lake City.
At the University of Utah.
It's funny that they would be doing something called Genesis because they are the Mormon Church is the world-renowned place of where where you came from, supposedly. I mean, a great majority of this country, their public record, or any kind of a record is there, is my understanding.
Yep. So the Genesis name is, mainly it was trying to fit an acronym with what the study was, just because it's sort of a hard thing to explain, as I tried to do. But the acronym is so long because it's it doesn't. It's not necessarily a reflection of the Mormon Church, I guess, is my point. But
I gotcha.
It was more of a creative way to.
I gotcha. But it's very good, though. It's very good. So tell me the name again of the hospital.
It's the Huntsman Cancer Institute.
Huntsman Cancer Institute, and we'll get some information on that if anybody would be interested. I mean, it's an amazing project because Schuyler's not the only, and your son are not the only kids on Cape Cod to get this or to have this. To have it.
That's correct. Yes.
So there was at one time some research around Sandwich and regarding cancer. Is that correct?
Well, there were 13 cases altogether that happened within this range of time.
And the 13 cases were all the same?
Yes, and there were 3 within a mile radius of where I live. And then sort of mysteriously for us to realize that it happened within these years and then it just dropped. So to understand what happened during those years would be a great understanding to treat this disease. So
sure.
So yes, it was a lot.
So are they still doing the research on what happened and why? Like, did you all move to that area at the same time from different parts of the country? I mean, was there any kind of a
There was a study by
correlation?
the Mass Department of Public Health. There was a study done years ago, and I don't want to comment on much of the study and what they determined to be the cause of this or not to be the cause of it. So,
but it must be out there somewhere.
there is a report out there.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So there are 13 cases, and all about the same time.
I'm not sure what the range of years, Schuyler.
Is that part of your research?
Well, that was sort of just an independent curiosity of being part of it. But
sure.
I think it's hard for us, too, to say exactly how many cases there were, only because the only reason I know other people exist is by meeting them. So
I see.
Of people I've met, I can tell you between the years of 1994 and 2009, there were 10 cases. And Ewing sarcoma is very rare, so only one person out of every million people. That's sort of what the national average is.
Right, and they don't know if this is environmental, right, or whether it's...
So we don't know. With Ewing sarcoma, so we're looking for a hereditary predisposition because African Americans and Caucasians get Ewing sarcoma at very different rates. So that is suggestive that there might be a genetic or a hereditary predisposition. So with environmental factors too, there can be combinations of the two, and there could be something unique about the Cape environmentally in combination with genetics. It's really hard to say. And then there's also just random chance, even though it's very unlikely. You know, I don't know exactly, how unlikely that would be, but let's say it's, being struck by lightning twice or something. I mean, it could happen.
I mean, it's
so
just...
random chance is always, I guess, an explanation.
Right. It's kind of like winning the lottery or not,
or
right?
not, yeah. It's the opposite of winning.
It's the opposite of winning the lottery.
But it would be some, really strange lottery story that you hear. But you do occasionally hear about them, and we don't know enough about Ewing sarcoma to really say or what to even look for.
So African Americans do not get it as often. So they're like 1 in 2 million people?
So Caucasians get it at about 9 times the rate of African Americans.
Really? And what about Asians or?
They're somewhere in the middle.
Huh.
So there definitely is some type of racial tendency to develop the disease.
So it's definitely it's a mystery, isn't it? It's a puzzle to try to put together.
Yep, it's a giant puzzle.
A giant puzzle.
It's very, very complicated and involves more research than you can probably imagine.
Right.
But there probably is an answer somewhere. So it's just trying to find that.
Yeah, that's quite amazing. And do we know how? I mean, okay, it's got the name Ewing sarcoma, so I'm sure somebody by the name of Ewing named it because he discovered what it was.
Correct. Yep.
Okay, so has it always been in the population? Our population has grown, obviously, but do you know what I'm saying?
So it was discovered, his name was Dr. James Ewing, and I think it was in 1921.
Oh, wow.
So since
not that long
1921, we've but even then, so this was the first guy to look at it, but then really starting to get some type of standard diagnosis came, decades later. So
Right.
how long have we really been measuring it?
Yeah.
It's kind of hard to say, but I don't know, maybe the 50s.
Isn't that
60s.
amazing?
But then, those techniques would be considered
Archaic.
yeah, they wouldn't be valid today. So then it's, at what point did we really start measuring it? But since our current standards, those are sort of the statistics that we have about it.
I have a nephew-in-law who is at Mass General, but he is a researcher, not in the area of cancer, but in infectious diseases and whatever. And I asked him once, how do you do this? How do you, because he has to see people and talk to people and gather statistics and look at little test tubes and do all that stuff. And he said he does it because it's a giant mystery to him. He said, I feel like I'm an investigator, like a private eye. I'm there trying to figure it out. And it must be kind of that way for you too. Understanding you're battling it, but it's also, it must kind of, I know it's so interesting to me that you between the numbers and the statistics and, it must be incredibly interesting for you.
Yep, it's sort of a double-edged sword for me. It's very interesting, and then there's also the personal aspects. So you need to be able to separate the two, because you can't be going in with some personal biases or
well, no, that's
or all those things. So you need to definitely be able to separate the two.
And
there is a part of
you
me
are.
that loves science, and it's really interesting, and it's a great puzzle. And then the other part of me that motivates me to sort of keep going is, we want to find an answer to these questions.
Of course.
He's extraordinary.
Yeah, he is extraordinary. You're extraordinary. We're talking about him right in front of him. I love that. We'll make you blush. So, where do you want to go from here with all this stuff?
I want to stay close to Schuyler. I want to be involved in his discoveries. I want to help him. We're going to share my genetics with him, my family. My mother was 1 or 12.
Wow.
And so...
Is this the first time in your family you had Ewing sarcoma?
Oh, yes.
So none of your nieces or nephews or...
No cousins, I have hundreds of cousins.
Right.
And so we're going to spend a lot of time with that. So I want to stay close with Schuyler, and I want.
You got another mother, I think. I'm just telling you right now.
He has a wonderful mother and a wonderful father.
I'm sure he has a wonderful mother and father, but I have a feeling you have somebody else looking out for you too.
Yes, absolutely. And so where do I want to go with this? I hope that people will read the story, and learn of Jeff and remember who he was. And I'm going to just continue to go in that direction, try to promote it, and then maybe start writing some other stuff. Yeah.
And move on from this particular subject matter.
Oh yes, I think that I have moved on emotionally more because after the release, it was hard to go through that sort of letting go, and I never really let go. Yeah. But to have completed the project and the story and move on is one step at a time. So
you are doing book signings, though. Do you have any coming up?
I just did a book signing at the tournament. I had just had a pretty big one, large. I had a continuous line for 3.5 hours.
Oh my gosh!
On January 9th at the Daniel Webster, and that was wonderful. So I haven't got anything scheduled yet. I'm working on some off the Cape, Boston exposure.
Excellent.
As well.
Yeah. Good. So the name of the book is The 12th Night. And Susan Hayes, thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you so much. And Schuyler, thank you. You keep battling on, kiddo.
Yep.
We want to hear how good your progress is, okay?
Yep.
We do. And what you are doing research-wise is quite amazing to me. It is quite amazing.
Extraordinary. Mm-hmm.
It is. It's wonderful. Yeah. It's terrific. So thank you again.
Thank you.
All righty.
All right.
Susan Hayes and Schuyler O'Brien, two names that I think will always be in my heart. What wonderful people they are. What a story Susan has to tell. And here is Schuyler fighting Ewing sarcoma and also doing research on why it happens to people and why it happens to kids in particular. Amazing story. I'm glad you joined me today, and I can't wait to see you again for another Cape Conversations.